Welcome to another episode of Everyday Amazing with Sky Alton. Today I have the co-owners of AlainaRays, barbershop and salon. So let's get into it. Welcome. So today I have Ray Ross. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing, brother?
Glad to hear it. So first off, I appreciate you taking the time to come and share your knowledge.
Yes, sir.
You know, I have been going to you for a while, but before we get into all of that, man, just tell me a little bit about how you became a barber.
You're taking me back. So I began to cut hair way back when. I was probably 11 years old. My dad, actually back in my day, used to give me a haircut in the kitchen, old school, and he would give me something called a cavadas. Back in those days, I wanted to grow a little shag, and, you know, I told Dad, just make sure you don't cut the back of my hair. And he just laughed and he goes, okay, okay. Well, he didn't do that. He started from the back forward and cut me almost bald. It devastated me. So I told him, I said, you know what? The next time I had a haircut, I said, Pops, can I see the clippers? And he goes, go ahead. And you know what? Ever since then, I never looked back. And that was the beginning of just starting messing around with my own hair, understanding the feel. I was a little artist, so I used to draw, and cutting hair is similar to that. So that's how it all started for me.
You know, it's funny because that's kind of risky in today's age. You know, like a lot of people don't want to, cut their own hair because if they mess up, then alternatives you got to cut everything else
and
off.
I've had plenty of bald heads, plenty.
Okay. So then my next question, man, is like you started at 11, and like how have you grown over the years as a barber? Because something that stands out to me is like we always talk about like hairstyles, right? And kind of like fashion, a lot of the stuff kind of repeats itself, but just has different names, right? And so have you, seen a lot of the styles kind of like come back around? And
yeah, it has. When I was in high school, obviously it was like the Gumby and the flat top. This is in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and that hit a scene. But today's look is a lot better to me in the sense of technology has grown, so you're able to sculpt your art a little bit better compared to what we were using. There was no liners. You used one big clipper, and that was it, But now you have small detail aligners, and, I've seen a growth in that. So for me, it's been good. It's a lot different, I would say. But they do repeat, but it is the same.
Okay. Yeah. So when you say like technology, you're talking about like with the liners, like what other, you would say like technology changes have really helped kind of like move things along? So we got liners. What about what you because I know razor lines are really popular, right? And that's been around for a long time. So do you think because of the way the details of the razor line, do you think that's why that has always been?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So today's clipper, little more refined, so the detailer is a little sharper. It's kind of like tattooing. Tattooing back in the day, you kind of had the bold type ink. Now people can get more refined with their craft. So I like today's clipper and what it brings.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, because we're talking about like the changes over the years. Now, back in the day, a barber meant, I would say, in my personal opinion, I think a barber meant like more, right? Because, the barbershop was a special place for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not to say that it's still not like that today, but you know, with the younger barbers, everybody's trying to just like make money, get in and out, right?
Yeah.
So, what would you say makes, you know, a really good barber? Not just somebody who's just looking to get into it for the money. Like,
Right.
like if you were giving advice, like what would you tell like a young barber out there?
You know, I have a son that's playing with barbering a little bit. And so I told him, I said, you know, barbering, it starts within your heart. If you're looking for the quick money, it'll come and go, you know what I mean? But when you have clients, that is more personable. I feel like for me, that's like my ministry in the sense of just mentoring young men. It's more than a haircut for myself, you know. So it definitely has to be more than the money, because the money, you can get money, but how people feel when they sit in your chair, that's a whole nother thing. So I can be that barber where I put on the headphones and cut your hair and not have a conversation, and you might say, oh, he's cool, he's nice, he got bars.
Right.
And then you might have an older cat like myself where I might be more personable with you, and he might even have a better hair. He might have a better, his skill level might be better, if you want to say. But how you felt when you sat in my chair might feel a little bit different. You're like, you know what? I like his energy. I like how I feel when I sit in a chair. So it's personal. It's comfort.
Yeah.
It's definitely that.
Would you say like that's the key to like repeat clients too?
I really do believe that. And without me even knowing that, I would kind of throw that at some clients and just to get a gauge on what they're looking for. And every single time they said, man, just when I sat in your chair, I just felt something different. And that's how it happened, you know? So I want to say I'm a great barber as far as my skill set, but you know, the eye is in the hand of the beholder, basically, you know?
Right.
You know, so you might say, hey, he's the best, and then someone else goes to that person and go, it's the feel. It's the feel.
Right. I agree with that, because
Yeah.
like I said, it's really subjective when we're talking about like, you know, what's the best and like what you're looking for, because some people will say like, oh, I like a barber that really sharp line. Yeah. You know, another person might say, well, I like, you know, I like talking about barber.
Yes.
It's kind of like, you know, a doctor, right? You know, like having somebody that you trust.
Yes.
Makes you want to keep going to them 100%. And trust what they say. You feel comfortable with 100%. Them. And like you said, I think that's kind of missing in, you know, with some of the younger guys these days.
Yeah,
Cause
I agree.
I had like you mentioned, I have experienced the headphones. I'm just going to, you know, do what I got to do, cool, and then, you know, you're done.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a high and buy thing. Yeah. And it's not as welcome and doesn't make me. And like you said, sometimes those guys are really nice. They're nice with it, but. You know, I guess it depends on like what you're looking for. You know, maybe you know you might want a little something more.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like, what would you say has been some of the most challenging experiences? You know, being a barber. Like something that pops up to my head. Like, have you ever messed up on someone's head like really bad? And if you did, like, how did you? Like, what do you do in that situation?
Do?
Yeah.
Well, I had one experience. So when I first started to become a barber, it's been about 12 years professionally. And so we're in the salon, and I did a haircut on it. And now going back, I didn't grow up going to barbershops because I always cut my own hair. Yeah. So I've been in a few barbershops, but this one time, I was walking on faith anyways to become a barber. And so I get to the salon and I'm like, man, how's this gonna feel? Am I gonna be nervous? Is it, because I cut in the garage as well. So I've already had my little clientele, but then I had a new client come. And so anyways, he gets a haircut, finished the haircut. I'm like, cool, like he liked it. Well, maybe about 4 days later, he gives me a call and he goes, hey man, you put this hole in my head. And I was like, what? I said, really? I said, well, you know what? Come back to the shop tomorrow, whatever, and let me see. So I go look, and so it looks like a just a big old bald spot, right? I'm like, brother, if I would have did this though, you would have jumped out the chair, you know?
Right.
And so he was just kind of like, well, he was just kind of giving me grief about it. So I said, you know what? Next time, if you ever have something like that happen, immediately let your barber know. Don't come back a week or two later saying that something happened to you. But I'm going to do you one solid. I'm going to refund you your money and make sure this is the last stop.
I mean, because I think that's any new barber's like nightmare, right? Is like messing up really bad and then just, you know, because like word of mouth is important, right?
It's
and
huge.
if
You're a walking billboard.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, that was like my challenge, but it's like it had to happen. So how are you going to handle this situation? And from then on, it was all good. And I loved it. You know, I'm glad I went through that because it was just kind of like, all right, are you in? Or are you going to bail out? And I said, no, I'm about to do this. So I was very confident in me and what I put on that client. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about man, ownership, because you know, I know it's, you know, from knowing you that it's been a journey to like opening and owning your own shop. So talk about a little bit about that process, because it didn't happen overnight. So what was some of the challenges of getting there?
Yes.
Besides, we know it's, you know, coming up with the money, but like, just pretty sure there's a lot that goes into it.
There's a lot that goes into it. I have a co-owner, Alaina, and we have always talked about ownership. A lot of clients would come in and say, oh, you guys would be good owners. You know, you guys vibe well. And so we're like, all right. So we kind of started looking around, and very expensive, and not really knowing how it was going to happen. Again, walking on faith. And, you know, a situation arose, and we were able to get into the salon, and was everything that we wanted. Still had its battles. I didn't know the logistics side of it. Alaina was more inclined with that part, so she handled a lot of the groundwork. I mean, if I didn't have a partner, I don't know how I would have did it by myself. So I kudos to Alaina, because she knew more of the stuff, you know, behind the scenes. I had no idea.
You just knew, you know, you got the talent to do. I was gonna bring them,
and once they're there, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
But yeah, it had its challenges. But I would say to anyone, you just keep pursuing. It'll happen. You can't give up. I mean, we looked for years. Like, it just seemed like, wow, when is it gonna? And before you know it, here was the opportunity, but you got to be ready, because opportunities come and go. So you got to be ready.
What about when you get it? Because I'm pretty sure like a lot of young barbers, they talk about like, I want to own my own shop. Everybody wants to own, right?
Yes.
But like, you know, I'm pretty sure there's a lot that goes into like maintaining,
maintenance. Now you have a mortgage or a rent, insurance, all that stuff. And we're still in the building process. We're able to stay even keel, so we're not hurting, especially pandemic hit, and that could have brought us under, but we're able to survive that. So the sky's the limit, you know, and you definitely have to put in work. You have to put in work. It's not going to come easy. It's not. I know people want to own, but think about, why do you want to own? Don't own just to own, you know. I look at it more in the sense of, I wanted to be an owner for self, one, to see that I can do it, but two, that bring something to the community. I want the shop to be more of a safe haven. That's why we said AlainaRays Barber Lounge, because we want it to be where you can bring your kids and not worry about someone coming by, shooting up the place, or if my kid is there, is he going to be okay, you know? So we want it to be family oriented. And so that was something that we both liked, and that was, you know, you just got to stick with it. Stick with it. Stick with it.
I think that's important, what you said about family oriented, because that's not something you see in a lot of barbershops today. You know, some it shouldn't be this way, but we have heard stories of barbershops, you know, being shot up and stuff like that. And I think part of my personal opinion is the reason why is because of the atmosphere that, you know, goes around in a shop like that, or just outside of a shop like that. So having a place where, you know, you encourage, you know, a family-friendly environment and a respectful environment.
Absolutely.
I think really, you know, has shown how successful, you know, you are right now and continue to be. So I think you really hit it, the nail on the head with that. So, you know, something that pops into my head, I remember, you know, when Odell Beckham was doing the burst fade, right? Did you see a lot of those?
I seen a lot of those. Everyone wanted an Odell.
So how do you handle when, because, you know, not everybody can pull off certain hairstyles. There's different hair textures and so how do you tell a client when he comes in, he says, you know, he shows you a picture of something that is just not his hair texture? Like how do you go about, you know, convincing him to get something different? Because I'm pretty sure you probably get that a lot when, you know, basketball player, whoever is famous at that time, and whatever they're rocking, that's what all the young kids want. And you have to explain to them, listen, you got to tell the person no.
Well, you said it. I'm an honest person, so if I feel that, say, brother, I don't know if that's gonna work for you, doing your hair shape or your style of your hair or a type of texture you have or whatever the case may be, but I will keep it 100 with them. Okay.
You know, tell me a little bit about this image.
That's just
that's just on the
nice
daily?
Little drop fade with a client of mine, Randy Singh. Shout out to him. Another one doing a little beard lineup, Mr. Kevin Swanigan.
Celebrity barbers are pretty popular. You know, that's a really big thing. You know, barbers like to talk about like who they're cutting, who's famous. So if you had like one famous celebrity who you would be proud of, like, you know, cutting, who would it be?
You know, I'm gonna go to the top of the top and just say it would have been nice to cut Barack Obama's hair.
Okay, all right, hey.
And say, hey,
you know?
I did that to our president.
Had that photo right there in the shop or whatever.
I can't lose with that.
Yeah, no, you can't right there. You know, that's like having on the, you know, Infinity Gauntlet. You know, it's the Avengers right there. So
that's it. Black barber, black president. I'll take it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, man, coming on the show and and dropping some gems and sharing your knowledge. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with the second half of AlainaRays, Alaina. And so stay tuned, and we'll see you in a second.
Son, love is like the ocean. You have to tread the waters.
Oh, Dad, that's not the kind of help I needed. Jessica, will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
Welcome back. We have the other half of the AlainaRays, Alaina Shaw. Let's get into it. Tell me a little bit about, similar to Ray, what does it mean to be a hairstylist in today's market?
I try to keep up with all the trends, but there's just some things that I just don't do. But as Ray stated earlier, it's just about having a relationship with your clients that bring value to your craft, I think. You can already be good at it, but like it's what keeps people coming to you. It's just, because I hear it all the time, like this stylist didn't do this, or I went to this place and they flocked me from chair to chair. They did good work, but they flocked me, and they just didn't feel like stylists really still bring that true connection to their clients. And that's what I always try to do, is just make sure that I have a connection with all my clients. And education is huge in the hair game right now, like knowing what you're doing, knowing what you're talking about, and making them feel comfortable while they're in your chair. So I think it's just being passionate, being knowledgeable, educating your clients, and also making them feel like when they're in your chair, like it's just you and them the whole time. Yeah, and I think that's what stylists kind of have to like always shine back on, instead of just making the money. Like it's deeper to the clients, and we have to always remember that.
What would you say is some of the most challenging things you deal with as a hairstylist?
Oh my goodness. Challenging things?
Yeah, so is it a matter of, I mean, of course, no show, someone not showing up is
I mean, that's always, that's more,
yeah.
it's challenging, it's more frustrating,
Right.
but because we are our own boss, no clients, no money. And so that is more disrespectful.
Right, right.
And it's challenging, but honestly, it's seriously knowing what you're talking about or getting thrown questions that you're just stuck on. For me, that's a challenge for me when I get clients who have medical conditions or hair loss, and I can only give them as much as I can give them, but I'm just like, I feel like I should be giving them more. So the challenge is not always having the answer, but making sure that if I don't know it, I'll maybe somewhere try to research and find the answer or ask around. So for me personally, the challenge is not always feeling like I can help a client when they're in hair situations.
That's funny you say that, because thinking about your answer right now, I'm like, man, like there actually is so much you have to know, you know, about someone's hair and the different textures before you even start to, because like chemicals and stuff like that, you know, like if you put the wrong, you know, thing in someone's hair, they can lose their hair, right?
They could, but, and it's not just on us though, it's making sure that our clients are as honest as possible, because some clients, they're not always honest, and you know, they view us as the hair police, and we really are not. We just really need to know as much as we can so we can make sure that we are doing the best that we can to service you. If we, like the doctor, if the doctors aren't there to scare you off, they ask you certain questions, don't lie, they're not going to call the police on you. They're there to diagnose you properly. And so it's the same with hair.
So similar to Ray, like, have you ever had like have you ever messed up when, you know, when you first started really bad to where, you know, like you always remember it, and how did you handle that?
I did have a client that did accuse me of using a chemical on her hair that I did not do. She accused me of doing something to her hair that I did not do.
Right.
She loved her hair when she left, and just a couple days later tried to complain about it, accused me of using a product on her that made her hair fall out. She even went to the level of calling state board on me, tried to get my license taken away. Like, it was a very stressful time in my life. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was a big deal.
Right.
And long story short, state board ended up dismissing the case because she didn't have an argument. I didn't have an argument because I didn't do anything. All I could do was prove my side, but it wasn't enough for me to get in trouble.
You know, I was thinking of, why is it that it's always a couple of days, right? Because like similar to Ray said, a couple of days, then they come back. Some of yours is a couple of days, and I have my own theory because, you know, usually as a client, when we get our hair cut, right, we feel some way about it, like, you know, you either like it or, you know, you either like it then or you don't, right? And a lot of times you like it, if you don't, you're going to say something. And then we leave, and then other people see it. And I think my theory is that, like, if you don't get the reaction you were expecting to get from other people, then it makes you start to feel a certain way. And now all of a sudden you don't like it anymore because, like, I mean, I only can speak from my experience with it, because there's been times when, like, I'm like, yeah, I really like, you know, my cut or whatever. And you go home to your girlfriend, she's like, it's all right. Like, oh, what do you mean, just all right? Like, well, you know, they could have did this a little bit more. Or, you know, your beard could have been a little bit better. And now all of a sudden you're like, how's your cut? Well, it's okay. You know, basically, you know. So
it happens all the time, and it's like people come and they have this, they're confident and they da-da-da-da, and then all of a sudden they just need that one last stamp of approval from whoever is seeing it, and they're just like, you know, it's too short, or it's too long, or I don't like this color. And it's kind of like, you liked it 2 days ago. But I say 2 days because sometimes it takes people, usually for me, if I do a haircut or if I do a color, and if I still see them a little leery, just if it's brand new, and they're just like, I like it, it's new, but I like it. And I'm just like, I'm over here like, well, I know I did a good job, but like, I can't make her like it. She thought she was gonna like it, or he was gonna like it, and they just are on the fence about it. I tell them to wear it for a couple days to a week, see how you feel, and if there's something you wanna change, just call me. And so I understand the couple day thing, because I actually encourage my clients to give it a couple days, because sometimes they end up changing their mind.
Right.
Now, if it was a hole in somebody's head or something, that's
Right,
different.
right,
You
yeah.
know that hole was in your head
You're right.
the day you
Come in, yeah.
the day you left. So it just all depends on what it is. But sometimes people just try to let it grow on them, and it just doesn't work out. Or sometimes they are easily influenced by people who say they don't like it.
Okay, and so similar to Ray's question, you know, if you yourself had a hairstyle, celebrity that you would love to hairstyle, who would it be and like why?
So it's funny because even though he said Obama, I have actually been asked this before, and I've even said it like, man, if I could just do Michelle Obama's hair, like, because she is the top at the, you know,
Yeah,
to a lot of us, she still is the top of the top. But when
Right.
she was the top of the top, her hair was just always beautiful. And I was like, man, if she just walked in the salon right now, I would die. And I would do her hair. Like, it would have been an amazing opportunity. And Beyonce, just because everybody knows that I love her.
You know, you know, I know that about you, and I expected you to say that. I expected that to be like,
So Beyonce, just because that is more of a, I'm into, you know, she's theatrical. Like,
Right,
I'm
right.
into that. Like, I used to love doing, like, I love behind the scene work. And that would be like really fun for me to do. It's like a rush you get when it's like quick, and you could be more artistic.
Right.
And I'm super crafty. I like to be crafty in my craft and just really see where my imagination can take me.
Have you ever done like any like music video, like hairstyling for like music videos? Or
I
anything?
did actually. I have a friend, Tia Ferreira. Hey, girl. She sings, and a couple years ago, she had a music video that I did hair for the dancers.
Wow.
So that was really fun.
Well, I want to thank you again for taking the time to come on here and, you know, share your story and drop some gems. Like I said, I have been, you know, going to your shop for a while now, and I just knew that you guys had an interesting story because I've known you guys before you guys owned the shop and had your own shop, and so I'm happy to see like the growth, and a lot of times like that's what the show is about, to highlight people and how they've grown to inspire other people.
Yes.
And so before, you know, I let you go, you want to say like, you know, where people can find, you know, your shop and where they can follow you at?
We are in Elk Grove, on the corner of Elk Grove, Florin and Bond, and the address is 9165 Elk Grove, Florin Road, Suite 155.
Any social media?
We have an Instagram page. It's AlainaRays _Salon Barber Lounge, and we have a Facebook page. It's AlainaRays Salon Barber Lounge.
Okay. Thank you again. This has been another episode of Everyday Amazing with Sky Alton. Once again, you can find the show on YouTube at Everyday Amazing with Sky Alton, and on Instagram at Sky _Alton. I will see you guys next time.